Welcome to another live version of Cooking with a Veteran. I'm your host, Dave Rogers, and today I'm going to be making my homemade barbecue sauce. Besides doing the Facebook Live, I already have a Zoom going on, so there's a lot of things going on at the same time while I'm doing this show. And I'm not just going to make the barbecue sauce. I'm actually going to put the barbecue sauce on some ribs. I already took some rib ends out. I seasoned them up. I'm going to throw these in the oven for about 15 minutes. I don't want to cook them all the way through. I just want to get them going, okay, before I put them into the barbecue sauce, and then we'll go from there. So let's talk about the ingredients that you need for making your homemade barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce is a ketchup base. Okay, so I have my ketchup. You don't have to use ketchup. You can use like a tomato, watered down kind of tomato paste, but you have to be careful with that. I have my garlic, my ginger, my green onions. I have a lemon, apple cider vinegar. I have my Worcestershire sauce. I have brown sugar. I have some hot sauce and some honey. I got my paprika. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to start with, I'm going to go ahead and get my pan going. And I'm using my special heater here today so you can see me directly. But you want the pan to start at medium, okay? And I'm going to use some of my citrus olive oil. I'm going to throw in my ginger. All right, so I got my garlic. So I'm going to get this going with my garlic and my ginger. And while that's going on, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut some green onions. This is for later. I'm not putting this into the barbecue sauce. This is for on top of the ribs. All right, so I'm going to save that for later, my green onions. All right, that's starting to sizzle up there. You want to use about 2 cups of ketchup. This is 38 ounces of ketchup, which is about 4.5 cups. So I'm going to use a little bit less than half of this. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to pour it in. All right, so I got my ketchup. All right, now I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, some apple cider vinegar. I'm going to put in, at this time, I'm going to put in some paprika. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mix that around. You want to cook this at a medium. You don't want to cook it too high because it'll burn. I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to put in some pepper. I'm going to put in some salt. Put in some of my adobo. And I'm going to put in just a little bit of crushed red pepper. You know, I like my food spicy. All right. At this time, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put in my brown sugar. And you want to make sure that you mix it together nicely. You know, I really love, like, when I go down to Texas and Louisiana, they always have these cook-offs, rib cook-offs. And all the variations to barbecue sauce are just amazing when you go down to these areas. All right, so my sauce is going, and this is where the variation comes in. So now you can use some honey if you want a honey-based kind of barbecue sauce. All right, you can use some honey in there. You can also add in some hot sauce if you want a more spicy kind of barbecue sauce. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my lemon, cut my lemon in half, and I'm just going to squeeze some lemon juice in there. It's coming along beautifully. And again, this is very simple to make. You know, a lot of people think something like this might be complicated. You know, they see all the ingredients on the back of a bottle, but it's really not that complicated. It's actually very simple. All right, so I have that going. I want a kind of sweet and kind of hot sauce. So I have some options here. I have these nice infused honeys. This is a ginger honey, okay? I have my Tabasco if I want to add some Tabasco to it. But what I'm actually going to add is, this is Mike's Hot Honey. I love this stuff. I'm going to add a little bit of this. And now I have my little bit of hot and sweet kind of together. I'm going to go ahead and mix that around. And you notice my garlic and ginger. You don't have to use garlic and ginger like I do. Like there are minced really fine garlic and ginger, you can use that if you want it more fine. I like the big chunks, especially the big chunks to cook in there. Sometimes I'll add big slices of onion and pepper right before I let it simmer, so that when I put it on top of the meat, I got all the onions and peppers in there also. So you could do that also. What I'm actually going to use, I'm going to use a little bit of habanero peppers. I'm just going to cut up just a little bit of this. Okay, I don't want a lot. I don't want too spicy of a barbecue sauce, but I do like it a little spicy. So I'm going to cut up a little bit of this, and I'm just going to put that in there. And you always want to, with something like this, you always want to taste it, because you want to make sure that it's to your liking, whether it's sweet enough or hot enough, whether it's not sweet enough or not hot enough, maybe it's missing something, okay? So I'm just going to take my little spoon here, more sweet than hot. So I am going to put in just a little bit more paprika and just a dash of hot sauce. And again, I'm making sure that I'm not cooking this too hot, because I don't want to burn, because once you burn sauce, that's it. The burnt taste will be throughout the sauce. So I want to make sure that I'm not burning it, that I'm just cooking it along. So I got it on low now. I'm letting it cook and simmer, right? And while it does that, I'm going to check on how my ribs are doing. Okay, my ribs are coming along, so I'm going to take them out. And like I said, I was just partially cooking the ribs, just to get them going a little bit. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place the ribs in the sauce. Okay, I'm going to use some chopsticks so that I don't burn myself. And I'm going to cover them with sauce. It smells great. So I'm going to take the ribs. I'm going to put the ribs back into the hot pot, the hot pan here. And I'm working my way from one end to the other, so that I have my ribs seasoned on one side and my ribs that need to be seasoned on the other side. And I'm using rib ends. I'm not using the full rib. At the end of the rib where the little white bones are, I'm using that end, because I like, it cooks better, the rib ends. Now, if you're making enough barbecue sauce where you want to use it that day, but you also want to save some, obviously you would take out the barbecue sauce that you want to save before you put meat into it, all right? Because once you put meat into it, there's no more storing that barbecue sauce, because you don't want to be poisoned from uncooked meat. I'm going to take these out. I'm going to put them in here in the pan. And I'm also going to pour the rest of the sauce over the ribs. And that is my recipe for homemade barbecue sauce. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take these ribs, I'm going to stick them back in the oven for about 45 minutes, okay, or until they're tender and cooked through. And I'm going to have me some nice barbecue ribs. All right. I hope you enjoyed joining me on this another live version of Cooking with a Veteran. If there's something you'd like to see me cook, send me a message. Of course, as always, if you like my episodes, make sure you like and share on my YouTube page. And until I see you next time, hoorah.